Hey, it's Vanessa from CraftyGemini.com, and I post weekly crafting and cooking videos here on YouTube. Today I'm back with part 2 of my beginning sewing series where we're working with Simplicity Pattern 2290. Let's get started. When you buy your pattern, you want to make sure you have two different things inside the envelope. One is your pattern instructions that's printed out on this paper, and then the other is actually the tissue paper that contains all the pattern pieces you need for your project. When you buy your fabric at the fabric store, it's going to come off the bolt just like this you see here. Remember, we're using 45-inch wide fabric, so it's folded. At the top, we have the selvages, and then on this side is actually the width of the fabric where it was cut. That's the width, and then this way is going to be the length of the fabric. In order to prep your fabric, you want to go ahead and zigzag stitch all the fraying side of it. Okay, and this is going to be so you can drop it in the washer and the dryer and pre-shrink your fabric before putting the pants together. The top is the selvage and it doesn't fray, so you don't have to stitch there. Set your machine to a zigzag stitch, and on the width of the fabric, go ahead and stitch real nice and close to the edge. It doesn't have to be pretty. This is just going to prevent the fabric from fraying while it's in the washer and dryer. Once that's done, you can pop it in the wash, and after you get it out of the dryer, make sure you press your fabric and you can set it aside. Now we need to prep our tissue paper. You're going to open it up carefully. Make sure you don't rip it because it's real thin. This pattern actually contains two pieces, and you can see this is one of them. And then we have our second piece right here. You'll only need one of the two pattern pieces included. You see this one next to the 2290 number says it's for child and teen sizes, and then the other one says it's for the teen and adult sizes. Choose the one that you need based on the size pants you'll be making. And so one thing you want to do is actually take a hot iron to your pattern. Since it's all folded up, I like to iron out all these creases. Just take a nice hot iron, no steam, and just swipe it across the pattern. You can see the creases come out real quickly. We decided in part 1 of the beginning sewing series which size of the pattern we would be using. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to go with the extra large size. What you want to do is cut around the line for the size that you'll be using in your project. When you come around to these notches, these little marks that you see here, these triangles, they're called notches, and you want to make sure that you're cutting out the pattern just like I'm showing you here. This is going to be good practice, especially if you're a beginner. And what you're going to do is you're actually going to transfer these cuttings into the fabric once we lay the pattern piece on top of our fabric. And we're also going to cut them out. These are going to serve as markers when we're putting the project or the pair of pants together, and they're going to allow us to line things up real nice and neatly. And you're going to see a few different markings, a few different notches on this pattern. Keep an eye out for those because you want to make sure that you're cutting them out as you go. Now, if you want to lengthen or shorten your pant leg, you see that's the bottom where the hem would go. And a little further up, you see this line. If you want to lengthen your pants, you're going to cut down the center of this line with a pair of scissors. Then you're going to separate the two pieces, and you're going to add whatever the length is in between that space. Now, if you want to shorten it, instead, you're going to fold along the center of this line like you see me doing here. And depending on how short you want to make it, you're going to fold it up that distance. Then you can tape that in place there. And then what you need to do is also adjust the edges since you can see it's not even. So I like to take a ruler and just make a straight line there, but make sure that you're also transferring the notches in the same location where they are now. Now we need to figure out our fabric cutting layout. It's important to understand all the cutting and layout diagrams in the pattern before you start cutting because you don't want to ruin your fabric. Here you have the diagrams for all the different sizes that you can make with this pattern. If you look at the illustration legend that's on the first page of the pattern, this is the key that's going to show you which side of both the pattern and the fabric pieces should be facing up before you pin and start cutting your fabric. The split screen here shows the diagram on the left and the illustration legend on the right. If we look at the teen/adult sizes on the left-hand side, that diagram shows us that the pattern piece is placed on top of the fabric in that manner. You can see inside the pattern piece it's blank. If we look over at the legend, that tells us that the pattern should be laid on top of the fabric with the pattern printed side up. The fabric that it's placed on is also blank, and you can see in the legend it doesn't match anything. That's because for this particular project, it's not going to matter whether you place the fabric with the pretty side up or pretty side down, because when you cut it, both pieces will be identical. You can see the first one is for the extra small and the child size that the pattern brings. The fold is at the bottom, selvage is up top. And all that means is that you're going to set up the fabric how you want to cut it for that specific size, the extra small for child's. You want the fold at the bottom and the selvage is up top. This is the same way the fabric came off the bolt. You're going to lay it down and then you'd lay your extra small pattern piece on top. The small, medium, and large sizes in the child and teens, the layout shows selvages on bottom and on top, and it's telling you where to lay your pattern piece. If we go down to where it says teens and adult sizes, you see for all sizes, it gives you actually the exact same layout as above. There's an asterisk there because it requires some special cutting notes, but if you're using non-directional fabric like I told you to use in part 1, then this is how I actually want you to lay out your fabric. Lay it with the selvages up, folded just like it came off the bolt. And then what you're going to do is open up the entire fabric piece and lay it in front of you with the pretty side of the fabric facing up. Then you're going to take the edge that you zigzag stitched along the width there and you're going to fold it across to the other end, and you're basically folding all your fabric across in half lengthwise. Then I want you to take it all, match up all the raw edges, and lay it nice and flat on a large clean surface. Dining room table or the floor works fine. To arrange your pattern, you want to lay it on top of your fabric like this and slide it close to one edge of it to conserve fabric. Then insert a pin on this line that has an arrow on the pattern. You want to take a measuring tape and measure from that line to the edge of your fabric, which should be a selvage down there. In this case, I have 13 inches. Then what you want to do is go to the other end of that arrowed line on the pattern and take the measuring tape again, measure from there to the edge, and that again should give you the 13 inches. If it doesn't, you need to scoot the pattern just like you see me doing here in order to get it to be the same measurement. That way we know the line is straight. Once you get it to the correct measurement, you want to take a pin and secure the pattern to the fabric just like you see me doing here, and that will make sure that everything is straight for cutting. Once you do that, go back up to the other tip and re-secure that pin up there. And then you're going to take pins and go all the way around your entire pattern so that you can then go back and cut it out. Make sure that you're placing these pins a few inches from the edge of the pattern piece so they don't interfere with you cutting your pieces out. Once your pattern is pinned, you're ready to cut it out. To cut out your fabric pieces, all you want to do is take a sharp pair of scissors and go through both layers of the fabric. Once you get to the notches, make sure that you're cutting them out in the same manner you cut them out of the pattern piece, just like you see me doing here. Make sure that you're not cutting these notches towards the pattern piece, like towards the inside, because then you're going to be cutting them into the seam allowance. Instead, we want to keep them towards the outside of the seam allowance, and they're going to be used as markers. Go cut around all curves, and then continue to cut out all the notches that you see along the entire pattern piece. Once you're done cutting, you can remove all your pins, take away the pattern piece, and then what you're left with are your 2 pattern pieces for your pair of pants. Now that you have your fabric all cut out to make your pair of pants, all you need to do is actually sew it up and hem it. In order to do that, you need to watch part 3 of this beginning sewing series. To get there, just click on my face.